There we go. We got the quick wink from Diego, so it
Mm,
looks like we're good to go. I'm your
yeah.
host, Josh. My co host, Diego, for basketball is over here. Welcome back, guys. We're excited to have you. We, we've had a challenging week this past week with moving things around. Diego's about to go to Europe too, so
Hmm.
sorry for the on and off episodes over here, but we'll make it work. There's not much going on in basketball, so we decided to do a fun exercise. Continue on our rankings list. Last basketball episode, we talked about top 25 list. And at the very end, we'll kind of compile these lists together, compare who, who Diego has 1 through 25, who I have 1 through 25. At the end of this project, it should be pretty fun to see like how we view top players in the NBA and why we rank them as such. So I got some exciting list of players at the top 20, and these are guys who have been like top 10 before,
Hmm.
and guys who I think will be top 10 in the very near future. But where they're at right now, there's still a couple things that need to clean up and just the consistency there. But kind of got a good mix on my end, Diego. What says you?
Uh, I kind of more have just like one, maybe two guys that could be top 10. Most of the other guys are kind of, I don't want to say at their prime, but they're getting pretty close there. So yeah, could be top 10. I mean, it's just difficult when you have LeBron, Steph, KD. Those guys kind of take up a lot of spots. AD a little bit as well. He's already 31. Kawhi, Paul George. You have guys that are old, like in that kind of age range, still playing at such a high level. It makes it difficult for those other guys, the younger ones, to really break through and take those spots. But they could get there. So I'm counting like one or two, perhaps, in the
There's a big
16,
surplus
20
of
range.
guys though, like
Yeah.
even some of the young guys like that come out last season. But I found myself I found it really hard to develop a top 25 as a whole. So because I don't think it even encompasses like floors and ceilings of players here. So
Hmm.
a lot of excitement for the NBA purposes. For top 25 list is absolute like headaches to
Hmm.
roll this on. But why don't you go ahead and give us your number 20 guy, and we'll trade jabs and who we got.
Yeah. So this guy averaged 25.1 points per game last year, 8.1 assists, 5.6 rebounds, shot 47%, 47.1 from the field, 27.5 from deep, 24 years old. Says hyper athletic point guard that can jump out of the gym, shot needs work, good defender, and needs to stay on court for multiple reasons. That last one might give you a hint who it is. It's Ja Morant. So those stats are kind of inflated a little bit. Didn't play too many games last year because of his own decisions, but also injury, unfortunately. And yeah, um, he's still a guy, in my opinion, that could be a big guy in this league. But he needs to prove that first off he's serious about it. Not doing whatever shenanigans he was doing the year before last year, and also just stay on the court as well. The Grizzlies themselves just had a year from a terrible year from hell, really, and it's been difficult. It was really difficult for them, and they kind of retool, get Zach Edey, so could be a good year for them, and especially for Ja. I mean, that first game he came back playing against the Pelicans, I was like, oh, they're losing. Oh, what is like Ja doesn't really do anything, and then he kind of powers it back to a comeback with a buzzer beater to win the game, and it's really showing you like, oh, this guy is serious, and so be serious and healthy the whole season. So yeah, that's who I have at 20.
This is a major miss on my part. She's not even in my top
Yeah,
25 this year. And it's a weird feeling when you said him because it's like, oh, shoot.
yeah,
I left him off the list, and I have a feeling
mhm,
I'll have a couple of those guys as I discuss it. Part of it's the off the field
yeah,
issues, and for me, I
yeah,
typically don't
definitely.
go that route when I'm ranking players. I usually give them the benefit of the doubt. But with Ja, it's been just a huge part of his NBA career so far when it doesn't need to be.
At all.
I think with
Yeah,
him, he is like an athletic freak of nature. He reminds me of Derrick Rose, but if he had
Russell
longer
Westbrook.
arms. And
Hmm.
he's not as shifty or explosive as prime Derrick Rose,
Hmm.
which is hard to say because he is way more fast and shifty than we could ever be,
Oh
and
yeah.
certainly more than the NBA average athlete.
Hmm.
But 2011 Derrick Rose, and even earlier than that was a different cat, man. Just a
Yeah.
different cat. But
different
Ja
guy.
has the potential to be that way with his wingspan and size. And
Mm-hmm.
you could see the explosiveness and jump out of the gym. Thing with me on him, for as great of an athlete he is, and just in like a freak of nature inside the paint,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
there are times where he could be strategic versus go make a play against a really good defender.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not had that strategicness in this game yet. Like Tyrese Haliburton has found the perfect balance between that over his
Mm.
past couple seasons. De'Aaron Fox has found the balance between how to use his speed well. And those are guys who are not as athletic as I'd say a John Morant is,
Oh yeah, definitely
but they're
not.
more effective in my opinion. So I'm not calling John Morant dumb.
He
I'm saying he makes
needs
decisions
work.
harder for himself
Mm-hmm.
than what he needs to do. You can you can still have the highlight reel dumps. You can still have the
Yeah.
explosive athletic ability. But learning to channel the mental side of the game is the reason why they lost to Golden State. It's the reason why they lost to the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Until
Yeah.
he proves that as a leader of the team, I'm not going to have him among the list of top point guards. And that's
Yeah.
hard to say for me because he is such an athletic freak of nature. Like he's like the new age Derrick Rose, Russell Westbrook. He's not as good
Mm-hmm.
as those guys were in their prime, but to me, he has the potential to be so much more than that, and he's healthy before all this stuff happened last season.
Yeah. And he's also only 24, so he's not even close to his prime, really. So that helps him there. And I think, yeah, going with the mental, understanding more of the mental of the game. With that, he's able to then play better in the playoffs. I mean, he's had great regular seasons. He's taken this young team to, I think, 50 wins at least once in that 2023 playoffs, where he's the second seed playing the Lakers. They lose in the first round just because they're a young team. I think they kind of need it because they were getting all that them Dylan Brooks like, oh, I'm not scared, or what was it? I'm fine in the West, all that. So I'm happy. There's been some time. He's made some mistakes. This is a great time for him to learn from that and kind of be a better player, be a better person overall. So I think that'll be good for him this year. So hoping for the best.
Yeah, 100%. The player in my top 20 is 4 years younger than me. He averaged a double double this past season. Um, Very explosive at 7'4". I
Oh,
think he was discussed on your list previously. You probably know who I'm talking about. But this
yeah.
guy has all the potential in the world to be a top three player once he gets more experience under his belt and has the talent around him to make a deep playoff push. For me, it's Victor Wembanyama. Um, Even after one season, I
Yeah.
could just he's basically what everybody's raving about Caleb Williams right now in the NBA.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he is an incredible talent. You could clearly see the traits for him to be a KD plus a Giannis.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like and Chet Holmgren combined. He's all three combined,
Yep.
which is insanity.
It
Just
doesn't make
just
any sense.
insanity. Yeah, like and he has a handle on top of that too. Like he's just such a unicorn that if you just build around him and continue to build around him,
Mm-hmm.
he is gonna go to multiple conference finals,
Oh,
when
yeah.
have opportunities to win multiple championships. The ceiling is like not even the sky. It's higher than that. For me,
Yeah.
like this to be a top 20 player in your after your first season is just incredible in my opinion. That's how highly I think of him. I'm not the sole expert on these lists, but like based on his abilities and what he's shown on the court already, he's on a steep learning curve to hit the top 10 really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually didn't have him on my list at all. I don't know. I just feel like I guess I'm just jumping the gun, knowing that a lot of people talk about this how like Wemby's taking over the league in the next like 3 years. I mean, he was second in Defensive Player of the Year voting as a rookie, and maybe I'm just overcorrecting in the sense that like I'm gonna be putting him on a lot of lists in the future. So I'm kind of taking this chance to say, like Wemby, I'm gonna give you a year to just Like, I'm not gonna really think about it too much. You're not gonna be on the list, and because he's gonna be here often. And yeah, no, I agree. He's a generational talent. I mean, we've never seen a guy this tall move the way he moves. I mean, the next guy this height with some sort of skill like this was Ralph Sampson. He couldn't even move anywhere close to Wemby. So it's gonna be very interesting. I'm excited this year. It's got Chris Paul, Harrison Barnes, Devin Vassell still on that team with an actual point guard. I mean, they went half the year last year with Jeremy Solhan at point guard, and that's kind of the reason why, big reason why they weren't good for a long time. And then Wemby really popped when he had Trey Jones as his point guard. So
Imagine Chris Paul, man. Just imagine.
exactly. So he's gonna have a great year. So I'm excited to see that for him.
Alrighty. Go right ahead with number 19. Who you got?
All right, number 19, averaged 20.1 points per game. Assist, kind of pointing him out, 10.9 assists per game, 3.9 rebounds, shot 36.4% from deep. All world passer, great 3-point shooter with a wacky shot, in my opinion. Can be a neutral defender, but sometimes kind of gets lost and sometimes isn't aggressive offensively in terms of getting his own shot. Hope it got kind of obvious with the assist and the wacky shot, but it's Tyrese Haliburton. And I really like him in terms of the fact that I think we've talked about it last time because you had him on your list between
Yep.
20, 21, and 25. But he is just a basketball IQ that is absolutely through the roof. He's a guy that can really make any pass. I mean, I was looking at like some of these highest IQ plays from like NBA narrated by like Ben Taylor or something like that. And he had this one where he needs to like shoot or pass, but instead of like passing someone, he throws it off the backboard back to himself, and then passes it to like someone in the corner. And it's just like, how do you even think of that in that moment? Like he definitely maybe he practices it every now and then, but that's not something he like does consistently. And it's just really interesting. And he's only 24. I mean, he's only gonna grow from here. He's gonna be great. I just don't like his shot, but whatever. And yeah, this was discussed a little bit in the playoffs where sometimes he just is too focused on passing instead of getting the shots for himself. But obviously, young player, he'll get there. I'm confident he's gonna move up this list very, very soon, even next year if he's healthy.
Yeah. Um, Another young guy. He's at the same time with his shot. He's proven multiple times he could hit 5 threes in one
Oh
game.
yeah, he
Like
can hit the shot. It's
it's
just
an
not
effective
pretty.
shot. It's it's not like teach tape like form shooting.
Yeah.
I can't really say much because whenever I shoot threes, my arm is like significant. Like my elbow is lower than my eye when I release the
Hmm.
ball, and for some reason that's just really effective for me. Got to work
Yeah.
on that arc and trusting the arc of my shot more, I guess. But
Hmm.
um, with Tyrese in particular, he can do it all pretty much. It's just he had it where he had the balances on like when to be aggressive and when to share the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Now he just has to consistently have it because
Hmm.
when he does, this Patriots team can beat anybody, like even the Celtics, which was
Yeah.
scary to think about. They didn't beat them once, like in their conference finals. But if you watch that series
It was
closely,
close
they're literally right there, like in
multiple
most of those
times.
games. Yeah, like it literally came down to the fourth quarter, last 5 minutes, couldn't seal the deal,
Yeah.
and a bad decision making at that point. So like literally, that team is right there
Hmm.
in my opinion. And if Burton Haliburton finds balance, all systems go. Like he is also another guy quickly approaching top 15, top 10 as soon as all these 30-year-olds phase out and go away. So
Yeah. So him and Morant were my two guys that I think will be getting there soon, but still young, getting there. It's weird to think they're the same age, John Halliburton. They feel completely different, but yeah, that's what it is.
it's because
They're up
they had
next.
different years of experience too. Like that
Yeah.
was a large factor. Right?
Hmm.
Um, my guy on this list, he officially played um, more than 63 games in a season, which is a first for
Okay.
him. His stats
Mm,
don't jump off the roof. It's actually a decline from a points per game standpoint compared
mm,
to his previous 2 seasons. Slightly under
okay.
23 points a game, 5.8 rebounds, 5 assists, 57% from field goal range. Um, yeah, I mean, like
Mm,
his assist numbers were his best this season. That's the one thing that stands out with me. because that's
Okay.
something in his category that you don't think about of a player at his size and his explosive athletic ability on what he could do. I still have really big issues with him when he
Yeah.
finishes around the rim and when he lands. Um, but
Okay.
other than that, he proved this season and in the playoffs that he can be a generational type player like he was drafted to be until he
Mm-hmm.
got hurt.
Okay.
So for me, this guy is Zion Williamson. He's my number
Okay.
19
Good.
guy.
Yeah. I was kind of looking at the stats and getting there as well. Yeah, I can see that. I like it.
Okay,
I don't know.
quick and easy. No,
Yeah, I
no
don't know.
debates there. I think we had talked about him
Mm-hmm.
last time we recorded this. He was a little bit lower on your list, I
Yeah,
believe.
25 for
Um,
me.
okay, yeah, but for me, I just look at his traits similar to Wembanyama, and I'm like, this screams top 10 based on athleticism. It's just
Mm-hmm.
the little things in the game that they got to clean up. Like, there are clear weaknesses IQ wise, where
Yeah.
um, with Williamson, the assist numbers though, that is huge because that shows he's understanding that he can use the players around him. That
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that is a big number for me because he started out at 2.1 assists his rookie season,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
he's more than doubled that this previous season while still remaining effective. Now it's just like how can he remain a bigger presence,
Mm-hmm.
stay on the field healthy, stay on the court healthy. But to me, he's deserving top 20 honors.
Yep. Um, Only thing I'd say since last time we talked was that we've gotten your yearly update on Zion's like weight slash health. There's a picture going around now where he's like skinnier, and then everyone's like, "Oh, the NBA has to be scared now because Zion's lean." And I don't know. It gets it's like the Ben Simmons shooting workout. Like the first 2 3 times, like fine, I was interested. Now I just don't care. Like I'm just waiting for the season to start. I'm not gonna give that any credence. Just letting everyone else know. Probably seen it on Twitter or something. But
He has to
yeah,
be able to use that lean
yeah.
now. Like that's the thing with him. People just look at the size and the speed,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like they get enamored with it, and
Mm-hmm.
I do too when I see the highlights. That's why I'm making this claim. But it's about how you use it
Yeah.
against teams that are strategically planning against it. How you
Mm-hmm.
use your IQ when your first option shut off, which has been your trusted option in like high school and college. What can you do then? What
Mm-hmm.
can you do when like basically your dominant hand is taken? You have to
Yep.
be able to create and like be a playmaker outside of that too. That's what the NBA calls you to be. And I'm starting to see that with Zion.
Yeah, and just finding the right physique, the right balance of largeness, right? That was a big thing that he was just a bowling ball, but
But it's
also
also
like
how do you use it? Because like
yeah,
what's the problem with the bowling ball? Like physique type.
I think it's just
If
the
you're not
injuries
able
for
to
him.
use it, then like
Hmm.
it's easy for God you just have a larger like mass for like offensive players to go at you with and drop fouls.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
other
true.
side to like, oh, this guy's like a basically like a linebacker just running through the
Yeah,
entire paint. Well, if he's not able to control it, he can also pick up a lot of fouls offensively. Like
no,
so
definitely.
people don't think about that really. It's how you strategically use the gifts you have physically, but also the mental game. Like both of those things have to go hand in hand with Zion.
No, I agree. Yeah, it's a good pick.
Okay. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, number 18. You already talked about this guy. I think 26.2 points per game, 6.1 assists, 5.1 rebounds, 42% overall, 36.8% from deep. He's 27. Undersized scoring shooting guard, hyper quick and athletic, reasonable neutral defender, underrated playmaker, off the dribble threes, hit. Yeah, this guy kind of is a real. I think he is a superstar. Great scorer, guy who scored 50 in the bubble. We all know Donovan Mitchell here at number 18. I think my only thing I don't like about him is the size. He does have a crazy wingspan. He's +6, standing at 6'3", so 6'9" wingspan. But I feel like that just limits a little bit the kind of team you can have around him. Who else? I know there were a lot of rumors before he went to the Cavs that he would go to the Knicks, but then you have Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell, two sub 6'5" guards. Doesn't really help defensively, but aside from that, I mean, he's still a reasonable defender against point guards, small shooting guards. So I definitely like him here. I just wonder if he's in his prime. He's like at the beginning of his prime. I wonder where else he goes from here. And I hope he's able to maintain this after his prime, kind of focusing on shooting and whatnot. But yeah.
The thing with me here is like where he can go, like player development wise,
Mm,
is when you watch him play, he plays like he's a top 10 player.
yeah.
Like he plays with like a bravado and a confidence
Oh, definitely.
and command of like any team he's
Hmm.
on the offensive end. On the
Yeah.
defensive end, I need to see that same like level of personality in there. Because if you can do that, I think he could be a willing defender. I think he could be a guy that can hold his own, an intense guy. Because like defense is all about like effort. You
Yeah.
need to be able to have that confidence in yourself that you can lock the guy opposite you repeatedly.
Hmm.
And like with Donovan, I think he's fully capable of that.
Oh,
And if
yeah.
he can grow in that area, he can force himself in that top five point guard discussion. I don't think he's there right now. I think there's a couple guys more talented than he is right now on both ends of the floor. But like that's the defense part is something I feel like is a correctable thing,
Oh,
which is
definitely.
which is why I still had him in the top 25 and didn't like completely phase him out for maybe a guy like John Morant. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy that you hope that can figure it out in this
Hmm.
upcoming season, knowing like what went wrong with the Cavs this last
Yeah.
season. But we'll see.
Yep. Should be better. Hopefully, more of their guys are healthy, but also that you still have that decision we've been talking about a lot of him and Darius Garland, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. We'll see where that goes this season. Yeah, that's basically it. You're up.
Okay. My guy I have at 18. I think I'm criminally underrating his game.
All right.
He was sixth in the league in scoring. He was one of the unsung heroes of the USA basketball team this past Olympics.
Okay.
Um, took on assignments that he normally wouldn't do,
Oh.
being the star player on one of his teams.
Mm-hmm.
Um, almost had 7 assists this season, and it wasn't even his like comfortability role, which is why the team had to really look for a point guard this upcoming season.
Yep.
Um, I feel weird having him at 18 because I feel like he's always been a better player than that. But then I
Mm-hmm.
look at the talent of the league, old guys and new guys, and it's like this guy's out there, but it's like I can't put
Yeah.
him like top 10 because there's like Steph Curry, LeBron, KD, like those level type players. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
think this guy's exactly on that plane. But
Yeah.
dang, he's good. I want like is the type of team you'd want. It's the type of player you want on any team. For me, it's
Mm-hmm.
Devin Booker.
Yeah. Yeah. Once you said Team USA, I was like, hmm. And then I was like, ah, yes. And yeah, I agree. It feels like he's underrated here, just because I mean he's a guy that can really make any shot. I mean he scored 70 points in a game like 7 years ago. So this is a guy that can get buckets. I know for a while he was facing those putting up stats, or what was it? It's like not putting up garbage stats, but just like putting up like empty stats. Putting up empty, like he was facing those empty stats
When
allegations,
this
you
team
know.
wasn't good, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But then I think really Monty Williams, the bubble, going to the finals, all that. Although yes, some debacles for the Suns end because of the Mavs, but also other teams. Um,
Just had to throw that in there.
yes, but no, I've his game has grown on me recently, especially with his dedication to being on Team USA, but saying I might be a star in Phoenix, but if I want to help this team win a gold medal, I can't. That's not my role here. I'm not that guy. I'm not LeBron, Steph, KD, even maybe Embiid, an MVP of the league. I'm not at that level. I should know my role on this team, and that's something that's really given me a lot of respect for him. So, I like the ranking here. It's pretty good.
And for me, it's like some of the stuff he's been asked to do has not been like what he's done in college or high school, like would just take
Hmm.
on the point guard duties,
Yeah,
like
I
and this
I like
prominent
that
in a
too.
role. And it's because the team didn't really set themselves up to like handle a KD, Bradley Beal, like Devin Booker pairing that
Hmm.
well. Like they didn't have a true point guard to set them up in like different areas. That matters. Otherwise, you're
Does.
asking these star players who are excellent scorers to bring the ball up every single time. Like
Yeah.
you're asking them to create from 94 feet when they're used to creating from like 30, 20 feet. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge difference because you're putting a lot of toll on like their ball handling rather than their ability to put the ball in the basket. So some of the stats, despite being sixth in the league, um, and his rebounds and his assists, like I feel they could be even better. Like when I look at what he's capable of
Mm-hmm.
in in the postseason, because his postseason he seems to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
Like even as like defense, the one stat like he doubled his steals in like the
Mm-hmm.
postseason compared to the regular season. So that tells me there's a lot more meat on the bone with this type of player.
Yeah. Yeah. I can agree with that. Yeah, that's kind of it for me there.
Okay, you take the wheel, my guy.
All right. I'm not gonna say his stats. It'll be obvious in a second. Notes: undersized scoring shooting guard. No, wrong one. Shooting guard that can hit any mid ranger. Neutral defender. Made to play point guard and didn't go too well. Kind of obvious. I also put Devin Booker, but now it's 17. So that's kind of funny. Um, Not much else to say besides, I mean, when you're saying creating 94 feet, we saw how Jamal Murray kind of crumbled against the Timberwolves in those first few games when who was it? Jaden McDaniels just hounding him. I mean, Nikhil Alexander Walker as well. When you have to bring the ball up 94 feet and dudes are going to start hounding you, that's not fun. And even if it was fun, it's tiring. So understandable for Devin Booker how that was difficult. You did say playoffs for his like steals doubling, and I just want to point out that they did get swept, so they only had 4 playoffs games, so the sample size is really small. But that's it. That's that's all I had to say.
I mean, it's pretty impressive that he was able to get that many steals against
Oh
like
yeah,
a team that
yeah.
had all the momentum in the league. But I hear you. Normally, I wouldn't pull that out there. I just saw an outlier and I was like, whoa, like
It is weird.
Devin Booker's almost averaging 2 steals a game. Like
Yeah,
that's crazy. It's really crazy, even though it's 4 games. But
yeah.
still, it shows his attention to detail on both ends of the floor.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't really make that point clear enough, but
No, you're
thanks
good.
for catching me on that.
Yeah. I'm actually reading. I have it here. I'm reading Thinking Basketball, so it's a lot of stuff like that, like sample size, variance, and I'm like, I feel so much. I feel so like I don't know. Like I feel
Going
like
for your
I'm
stats degree here, aren't you?
maybe from thinking basketball themselves. But yeah, no, it's
They're a great
interesting
listen.
book.
I use them as resources all the time when I'm trying to
Yeah.
undercover like the analytics. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we're good here.
love Ben Taylor.
Yeah, he's a dog.
Okay, that was quick then.
Yeah.
17 for me is a teammate of Kevin Durant's as well. He actually took his team to the finals this season. Averaged about 25 points a game, 5 assists.
Mm-hmm.
5 rebounds, 5.2 assists. Um, long tenured career. This guy is 32 now. Was a
32.
former number one overall pick, which I didn't know this about him, but like it makes sense. He's played on 4 different teams. Had a lot of controversy like on a couple of these teams, especially the previous 2 stops. Almost no team wanted him, and the Dallas Mavericks took a chance on Kyrie
Mm,
Irving. And
yes.
this season, he proved to me a lot of like what he needs to be as like a 30-year-old NBA
Yeah.
veteran with the leadership, his ability to support superstars, his ability to carry when superstars weren't there.
Hmm.
Um, the one thing that keeps me off on Kyrie being higher is just some of the playoff performances where he just vanished, where he'd go games without producing his normal output.
Yeah.
And it was weird to me because this guy's an NBA champion who was the sole reason why the Cavaliers even won in 7 games against Golden State with that final shot. Like
Hmm.
that, like he's a closer. He's a closer. And those are hard to find in this league. And to see him put up the performances he did this postseason occasionally was pretty
Yeah.
disappointing to see because like you expect more out of the player. But like in general, this guy has one of the smoothest handles you ever seen, one of the
Mm.
most unguardable finishes you will ever see. He is just a guy like you could just play like slow jazz music to, put him on slow mo, and
Yeah.
just enjoy the artistry that he brings and the tiny details that he uses to gain separation. It's a natural beauty to watch him play. Um, he could also improve on the defensive end, but he is a willing defender. He's
Hmm.
proven it in the past. But overall, I couldn't make this list and not include Kyrie Irving. I had to
No,
put Uncle Drew there.
that's pretty good. I didn't put him on my list at all, mostly because I just don't think I can't bring myself to think that he could be the best player on a championship team. Um, though obviously we haven't. I guess we kind of tried to see that on the Celtics. Then he goes to the Nets, and then it's kind of KD's team, and now he's on the Mavs, where it is Luka's team. So he hasn't really had like a chance besides the Celtics, which didn't really work out, right? But no, I agree. Great player. I think the biggest thing for him this year was just that there's no more controversies off the court that are really hampering or affecting his game as they were on the Nets, because I think that was just so difficult to get through. And I remember when we got Kyrie Irving, one of my friends, he's now my roommate, he's a Nets fan, and he's like, "Oh, good luck. Like, hope it goes well for y'all." Like, he actually hates Kyrie Irving, but he's also like Jewish, so all that controversial stuff was really like something that hit him close to home. So he really didn't like him after that. But yeah, so I was kind of worried about. It. I was like, "Oh, we have him. Let's see what happens." And it's turned out really well. I think in the finals especially, it's just so difficult as a small 6'2" and under point guard who like depends not he doesn't depend on a lot on athleticism, but once you get a bigger guy on him who's possibly more athletic, younger, it's really difficult to get your shots off, and especially when his shots are his game is just difficult shots, tough shots. So that's kind
We
of
saw that in OKC as well. Like he
yeah,
really struggled against OKC.
especially Case and Wallace. Case and Wallace is possibly a perfect defender for him. Guy similar height, quicker because he's younger, but also crazy wingspan, built pretty well. It's it's tough. So I'm curious. I'm curious how he keeps developing his game, but him on the Mavs has been good run so far. So I hope he keeps it pushing.
Yeah. Who do you have above Devin Booker?
At 16, I had 19.3 points per game score, 3.9 assists, 10.4 boards, shot 52% from the field, 35.7% from deep. Very surprising. Probably low, not quantities, but low amount of shots per game. 27 years old, point center with ungodly clamps at only 6'10. Great play finisher as well. He's kind of like a hub on the offense of his team. That's Bam Adebayo. I think especially now after the Olympics, he's really, especially all the threes he made, the corner threes he was making in the Olympics was really something interesting to me, because it's something like you're an undersized center. It's something I think you kind of need to be aggressive in this league, and I hope he can develop it for the future. And he's kind of the guy on. I don't say he's the guy, but he's kind of the guy with the not the most at stake. He's like if he should be anyone's team, it should be Bam's, because he kind of has a future still, while Jimmy's kind of getting there in age. So I think he's very interesting. I just love his defense. Uh, he always complains that he's never going to get Defensive Player of the Year, or maybe even an All NBA first team or All Defensive first team. But yeah, it's just tough. It's just tough when you're kind of behind Jimmy and whatnot, and you're on a team that kind of overshadows you with all like the culture and whatnot, which is great. But yeah, a great player. I love the defense for me, and the mid range shooting. Don't forget that.
Yeah, for me, like if there was like defensive players by position, this
Yeah.
guy would considerably like he is probably the one center I trust to guard Stephen Curry. I talked about this when
Hmm.
Bam Adebayo was lower on my list, but still in the top 25.
Yeah.
Um, he's the one guy I trust to guard Stephen Curry out of all the centers in the league. Like
Hmm.
I'm if it's Steph Curry like trying to switch on a center, I'm doubling it. I'm not allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
Um, but with Bam, I'd be more comfortable with it because he has the lateral quickness to keep up.
Hmm.
Like because a lot of Steph Curry's game against centers is to
It's
just get like a
yeah.
lateral shift, and centers can't keep up with like the float dribble or the quick step back that he mixes in a lot of the
Hmm.
times. Bam could keep up with it,
Yep.
and his value on the team, the Heat, is he's just consistent, and his stats don't jump off the roof, which is why I was like, who are you listing out here? Even though we just talked about him 2 weeks ago, because it was just like you don't hear about a top 25 player like this, the kind of
Mm-hmm.
stats he has, but like he brings a lot more to the table than what
Oh
you
yeah,
see from a stats perspective. If you watch him play, you're like, this guy
he's
looks
good.
like he knows what he's doing and knows what offenses are trying to do to keep the overall team in a bind. And he's
Mm-hmm.
not the liability on defense on his team,
Nope, not at
which
all.
in the modern NBA, typically power forwards and centers are because everybody's trying to matchup hunt, and usually the matchup hunt
Mm-hmm.
goes to those positions because it's like small on big.
Yep.
You don't want that in the post for smaller defenders,
Mm-hmm.
and in this league now, you don't want bigger defenders on guards at the 3 point line or beyond.
Yeah.
And he's the one guy that's the exception to the rule in this case. For my number 16 player, it's a very it's a very close player to Bam Adebayo.
Okay.
Um, he also averaged similar stats as well. I'm looking at his ESPN profile right now, and it's probably going to give it away, but Jesus, that profile picture is horrendous.
Mm,
Um, it's the hair. It's the hair for me. It's just like,
okay.
why did he even decide to go with that look?
Yeah.
But averaged almost 21 points per game, 5.3 rebounds, 5 assists.
Mhm.
Very similar stats. Very similar stats, except maybe from the assist standpoint.
Yeah.
Very consistent player. Um, has also been on multiple teams like Kyrie, um,
Yep.
but a little older than Kyrie, which surprised me.
Yeah.
It's the 6'7" guard out of Marquette, 30th pick to the Chicago Bulls. It is Bam Adebayo's teammate, Jimmy Butler. He's my number 16 pick. He's still a guy that can very well carry a team on a championship level team. I feel like he needs a co-star though, with a similar skill set. Maybe
Yeah.
our Derrick Rose might survive 2015 Bulls. You
Yep.
need to keep that band together. He is that talented of a player. Jimmy can
Mhm.
do it from both ends. I've always loved this hard work mindset.
Yep.
He knows he's not the most athletically gifted player on the floor, but he still somehow manages to put up the career he's had on both ends. I just really respect this player. I'm pretty much going to have him top 20 like most years just because of the consistent play you see out of this guy.
Yeah. Uh, like we said last time, I had him 23, and I agree. I mean, he's a good player. I just don't see him top 20 because I'm not. I'm never gonna understand like the difference between playoff Jimmy and regular season Jimmy. But aside from that, yeah, I agree. Great defender, mid-range shooter, super strong. He's a great player, so I can see why you have him here.
Okay, quick and easy.
Yeah.
That's our list there. So some alignment in different areas.
Yeah.
Um, I've had Bam rated differently. Diego's had Jimmy rated differently. I had Tyrese ranked differently, but we had some alignment with Devin Booker close by. So hope you guys enjoyed this list. You can follow us on our channel at amon.a.mission on Instagram. Our YouTube channel,
Mhm.
Amon Mission, is 3 separate words. So do what Diego's pointing down below. Give us a follow, give us a subscription. We really appreciate it. And stay tuned for 2 weeks from now. We will unveil close to the top 10. We're approaching
Yeah,
top
man.
15. So 15 for 11 is going to
Yep.
be our focus for next time. So until then, see you later and enjoy your evening.
See ya.